Setting up Fender Cyclone. First thing I'm going to do is sight down the neck and look at both sides, from the treble side and the bass side. I generally like a pretty flat neck, not too much relief if possible, and this neck is already kind of like that. Very first thing I'll do after that is just look at how deep the nut is cut. Press down here on the 3rd fret, then take a look at the distance from the string and the 1st fret. We're pressing on the 3rd fret and looking at the distance between string and 1st fret. It should be very minimal, so you could just barely fit a piece of paper in there. And I mean, some guys use feeler gauges, whatever. It's something you can do by sight usually too, and you just get used to the height the string should be there. If the nut's cut too deep and you play a string open and you're hearing buzzing, then you're either going to need to raise up the saddle a little bit, or possibly have to fill in that nut slot with some baking soda and super glue. Next thing I'm going to do, since the nut seems to be cut okay and the neck is fairly flat, is just check the string height at the 12th fret. The action's really low on this. It's about, it's way low. 0.030, 0.040, somewhere in there on this gauge. So raise up the string height, and you can tell when you play this, it's kind of not ringing real well. So raise up the saddles a bit. So raised up those saddles a little bit, and you can see I like to try and get them in a little bit of an arc, so they're kind of following the radius of the neck. You can do them straight across, but I think most people recommend having a little bit of a radius to them. Now we got the action up more like at 0.060 at the 12th, and it's ringing a lot better. And I'll usually check frets 2, 3, and 4 just for buzzing, just early on, and then up higher to see if it's fretting out. And then at some point I'll play all over the neck and check every fret, just in case there's a high fret. Just making sure that everything rings clear and true. Usually about this point in the setup process, I want to take a quick look under the tremolo cover just to see how that's set up. I don't do a ton of minute adjusting to Fender tremolos for a couple reasons. Partly because I figure it's a very personal thing, and people are gonna probably want to set up a tremolo to their own liking. But what I do like to do is make sure it's not just super loose and flopping back here with the springs having no tension, because then the guitar will go out of tune a lot easier. So this one's pretty much where I leave them for the most part. Like to have this thing kind of not at an angle, but kind of how it is, straight across, and with a little bit of tension here, like decent tension. If you tighten it up too much, then when someone puts a tremolo bar in here, it's just going to be completely locked down and not going to be able to use it at all. You've got a little play, but it's going right back, so there's a nice amount of tension. Also, if I can show this, the trim's sitting flat, flush to the body, which I kind of like. that way. If it's sitting up like at an angle, then it's got two ways it can move, and it's just more ways that the guitar can go out of tune. So I generally like to try and get it flush to the body, and with a fair amount of tension. Just kind of leave it there and let the new owner of the guitar decide how he wants to set up that tremolo to his liking. It's kind of a tricky thing sometimes to get that trim plate to go flush to the body if you've got one sticking up. Sometimes it's you want to mess with the screws here, especially the two outside screws. I find like it's kind of counterintuitive actually. If you tighten them all the way down, you think that would make it go flat, but it's actually sometimes you have to back them off a tiny bit, and you'll actually see that if they've been tightened all the way down, you back them off a turn or two and it'll actually bring it flatter. Or you may just have to tighten things back here a little farther, a little more spring tension, sometimes bring that down flat to the body. One thing I like to do, remember how I said that I like to set up the saddles with kind of following the curve of the neck, and I like to sight down the strings and just see if they've got a little bit of a curve to them, so they're not just all at the same exact level. Anyway, now this thing's set up, checked all the frets, playing up and down the neck well, not fretting out anywhere. So now just set the intonation at the 12th, right? Tuning up open, play it at the 12th. So that's a little sharp, the 12th. So you're gonna tighten a turn or two, make the string longer in essence by tightening that. Now tune up again. So we're still sharp at the 12th fret, and we're running out of space on that B string to get it any further back. See, that spring is compressed quite a bit. So now you can see that B string saddle no longer has a spring. Allowed us to get it back all the way up to the edge of the bridge there, and now it just is intonated just perfectly. So sometimes getting rid of that spring can give you that little extra room to get the intonation right.